कालकालाय विद्महे कालातीताय धीमहि तन्नो कालभैरव प्रचोदयात्. ओम हिंगुळे परमहिंगुळे अमृतरूपिणी तनुशक्तिमनशिवे श्री हिंगुळाय नमः. ओम कामाख्यवरदे देवी नीलपर्वतवासिनी त्वं देवी जगन्मात्रं योनिमुद्रे नमोस्तुते. Namaskaram. Welcome to yet another video of our Ishtartha Guru Bhairava, where we'll try to know him one step before as whatever we know him a minute before. In this episode, today we are going to talk about one of the very rare Swarupa of our Ishtartha, where this particular Swarupa is known to most of them, but apparently there is a beautiful storyline, also a connecting Upadesha which was being shared by my Guru as why exactly he took this particular Swarupa. It's Mahadeva Bhairava. You may be wondering us, what is the major difference between Mahadeva, Shiva and Bhairava? No. Let me just tell you in the essence. When it comes to the Purana, from a Purana perspective, Shiva is the core. We can call it as a core Swarupa. And his essence is what all the reflection of the Swarupa is all about. It is beautifully been derived in the Linga Purana. Like Shiva, sometime he is being called as Mahadeva, and especially when it comes to the Tantra Swarupa, he is being referred as a Bhairava. Especially if you see in any kind of a shloka which comes in a Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, it is called Bhairava Vacha. The Bhairava is trying to say the information to the Bhairavima. Similarly, the Swarupa which has not been spoken or most of them has misunderstood, we will talk about this particular or know about with his grace, we will try to know about his presence, Mahadeva Bhairava. Psychologically, depth is, we can find this, as I told you, in the Linga Purana as well as in the Kashmiri Shaivism. I believe you would be knowing it when it comes to the Kashmiri Shaivism. It is all about the Trika, or we can call it as Kashmiri Shaiva Tantra. Here in Kashmiri Shaiva Tantra, Bhairava is not merely a mystic figure. He has been represented as an ultimate reality of itself. That is the reason when it comes to the Natha Sampradaya, Bhairava is everything. Bhairava is Sampurna, Sarvam Bhairava Swarupam. It only originates from the Natha Sampradaya, especially from the Kashmiri Shaivism. This has been very beautifully been articulated. The key Tantric text, I believe we have already disclosed this information when it comes to the Bhairava Anugraha on Vijnana Bhairava Tantra. See, Vijnana Bhairava Tantra in a frame as a Bhairava teaching to Mahabhairavi. Okay, to put it into simple words, the text presents, it is basically a dialogue where Bhairava is disclosing the secrets of the particular creation essence to the Bhairavima. Here, Bhairava, who is in the Swarupa identity of the Shiva himself, because in the Linga Purana it is Shiva, but when it comes to the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, it is a dialogue between Shiva and Shakti. It is a dialogue between Bhairava and the Bhairavi. Okay, the very fact that the Bhairava is we can call it as he is a portrait as Shiva manifestation, and we can call it as like a teacher here shown how Bhairava is using as aspirant, or we can call it as a name of Mahadeva, not merely as a secondary figure. So please do not come into a conclusion that actually there are different Swarupas when it comes to this. He is merely that. Okay. This information is connected to Mahadeva Bhairava Swarupa is connected to one of his sacred space, which is actually is in the cave caves of the Uttar Karnataka. We normally refer that as a Western Ghats. It is between Sirisi as well as Gokarna. It is between Sirisi as well as Gokarna. It is a twin tower basically. This place, or this particular space is actually been now as a tourism place. Many of them go for the hiking. Many of them go for the seeing the Bhairava there, because his presence is very beautifully been still witnessed in the sadhakas as well as in a spiritual realm perspective. Why? This particular Yana has two hills, twin hills, we can call it as. One as Bhairava Shikara, another as Mohini Shikara. Maybe by this particular names you have already got to know what exactly the storyline is all about. People who really don't know, let me just give the back information to them. Long before even the Yana became as a pilgrimage, as what we have today, even before the footprint echoes as a forest path, like today, whatever the forest, it has been considered for the people who go there for the trekking or for any kind of an hiking. Before the name were given to the stone as well as a stream of that particular forest, this land was chosen by time himself. You may be thinking as how for this you need to know a little bit of a background story, which is about Mahadeva playing a beautiful play of running away from the Asura. Yes, Mahadeva running away from the Asura. As he was being portrayed as he was worried, and he took finally the support of the Vishnu to um, to do a samhara of one particular Asura, Basmasura. This story is about the story of a Basmasura. The Mahadeva Bhairava Swarupa starts with this particular storyline, the story of Basmasura. Basmasura, let me just give you a little bit background. Basmasura Guru was Shukracharya, the revived Kula Guru of the Asuras. In many stories you have already heard about them, but let me just tell you, this particular Basmasura was being initiated by Guru in a different level of rituals, as Shukracharya is not merely a teacher. Let me just tell you, he is merely a master. We can call it as, he was not even given a pada or a what do you call it as, like a stage where Sapta Rishis was not being asked, but he was equivalent to them. He was a master. He was a master of mantra. He was a master of a tapas. He was a master of very, very, we call it as a secret vidyas, including something called as the knowledge of the life and the death, which was never been revealed to anyone. To put it into a very short note, he was the first person to invoke Mahadeva to get one particular vidya directly from Mahadeva, was Mrit Sanjeevani Vidya. Mrit Sanjeevani Vidya is so secretive that he did not disclose this to anyone. Only to one, maybe in some other story we will talk about this, who loved his daughter, and finally he was able to reveal this. He was from the Devagana. Maybe we will try to talk about that in a different aspect. But coming back to the story, under the Shukracharya's guidance, Basmasura was able to learn many secretive Tantra sadhana, which made him very severe ascetic. See, he was a very advanced Shiva mantra he was being taught. He was being made to or understand the importance of the tapas. Why tapas is so important is that actually it will make even the creator to come down and give the boon, which is going to be helpful for the Asuric lineage. The discipline to please Mahadeva was always an inner tapas, not an emotional devotion at all. This is what the secret which Shukracharya, Asura Guru Shukracharya was able to teach to the Basmasura. However, Basmasura learned a lot of information from his Guru, Guru Varya. Shukracharya teaching emphasis was very clear, like power and attainment and not inner resistance. This is what actually the key is all about, his teaching was all about. This became a turning point to the Basmasura. Basmasura chose a very traditional paddhati which was taught by the Guru. He chose a different on the exact location which Guru had shared, but all agreed on one thing as suggested by Guru. See, that is the reason when it comes to the inner elevation, Guru's guidance is always needed. You may be telling, what is the major difference between the Guru as well as Shishya? It is only the knowledge, nothing more. Nothing more. And Guru has one more extra information, is experience. This is what actually he wants to make his Shishya Varga to experience that particular stage. That's what actually happened even to the Shukracharya, which he was expecting Basmasura to be performing. Basmasura chose a very remote, or we can call it as a fearsome landscape, especially in the caves, the wildness, out of the society. At that given point of time, like coming all the way to the south and choosing this particular kshetra. And that is a reason such space is described as a Mahakshetra, because Shukracharya had chosen this. And just think, Shukracharya had already knew what is going to be next, what are the actions which is going to be performed, and how exactly this particular space is going to be much more important and distance when it comes to the Bhairava consciousness. This is Mahakshetra. We can call it as like very raw elementary forces dominating the ego, as well as was being tested to the Basmasura during the process. That's the reason actually that space became very, very, very powerful. His way of connecting to Mahadeva was in a very different way. His tapas was, we can call it as very intense, long fasting. He started doing the long fasting and standing unmoved for the years. This is the key when it comes to the Ugra Sadhana Paddhati. Always it has been said that when you sit for the sadhana, do not move, because each move will actually has certain kind of an energy activation in the particular sadhaka. So Guru always tell this particular information. When you do or sit for a sadhana, try to make sure that you are not going to shift your energies. Once you shift your energies, again you need to start from the loop square one. And the continue chanting of the Shiva mantra was being done by Basmasura. And every offering, even his own flesh actually, into the sacred fire, he was asked to perform a certain tantra, we can call it as yajna, see, which is always important when it comes to the performing of a tapas. People tell that actually sitting in the woods or going into the Himalayas. No, there are certain vidhis which is supposed to be performed when it comes to the procedure of a tapas. In this particular process of a tapas, yajna is one part of it, and that's what actually Basmasura was able to perform it. And this tapas was not gentle devotion. Let me just tell you, it is like a forcefully he was able to whisper himself. When someone tries to do such kind of reverberating of energies, no, even the cosmos will respond. That's what actually happened. Shiva was able to come in front of him finally. He was pleased by the intensity, not by the wisdom. Two things always play the vital role. This is where Shiva was also, in few of the texture it has been said, but I don't agree with that particular topic. I will come to that point, why exactly. Second is about, it is actually The anugraha, why for all of us that actually this particular Swarupa was disclosed in this particular storyline. He was pleased by the intensity, not by the wisdom of his penance, what the Basmasura did. Shiva appeared, and Basmasura was asked the same thing as what Asuras always ask for, like no death from anyone, or he need a boon that actually no one should kill him, or no devi, or no woman, male, any kind of a astra, any kind of a day, night, all these things as whatever all the Asuric or all Asuras have already done. He also followed the same footprint. But as a cosmic law, Shiva also clearly clarified him this cannot be given. He should make sure that actually there should be a different sort of boon which need to be asked for him. For which actually he thought that actually this is a very intelligent boon, and he approached Shiva with one unique boon, like whoever he touches on the head, on his, he shall be redeemed to the ashes. Shiva was able to bless him with this boon. It was not actually like the boon of what we think that Shiva was unaware about of. Shiva was always aware. Mahadeva was always aware that why this particular boon was being given to him. The giver of the boon even know already what it holds of, what he is granting, not as an approval, but as a cosmic test, as one Swarupa need to be revealed. That's what actually this happened. Here, when the particular thought, when that kshetra, he sat in that particular kshetra and did the tapas, he was actually going through an intense way of boon which he was took, and he thought that actually that boon has become Amrit Sanjeevani for him, and he started actually um, thinking as going back of the devatas and troubling the devatas as whatever always the Asuric thing or Asuric character used to do it. Here there was a hidden teaching, like Basmasura story. I believe after that you would be knowing it, like many of them have already got to know about the story what I'm trying to say. But here the connection is something different. Basmasura actually in the storyline normally it goes in such a way like Shiva was being chased by the Basmasura, that actually he is going to keep the hand on the Shiva himself and make him as ashes, for which actually Shiva ran away from the Basmasura. I don't agree with this particular topic which has been written in the spiritual note context perspective, but I see that as a leela of the Shiva Paramatma to get him into the Mahadeva Bhairava Swarupa perspective. He in the storyline it has been said that actually the Shiva goes to the Vishnu, Mahavishnu, and asks him for the help, and Mahavishnu takes the Mohini Swarupa to come to help of the Basmasura's Vadha, to make him aware. And there is a storyline actually like Shiva goes and hides in this particular place in the Yana, and if you see it is a crystal rock, maybe even like to put it into a context of today's world, this particular place, wherever you go, almost like 70-80 kilometers away from the Yana, like in the Western Ghats, you will not be able to find the black crystal caves as whatever is there here. There is a storyline because Shiva went into that space, okay, and Basmasura came there, and Basmasura was, like being evil, the power without a maturity he had it. The tapas can awaken the energy, but without awareness, the same energy turns into destruction. This is what happened to him. First to the world, finally to the oneness, oneself. This is what actually made him to think about this. This is why Bhairava Kshetra existed. Not to give a power easily, but to burn ego before the power it touches to someone. And this is why the Yana, being very silent, being a cave, a black cave, Bhairaveshwara Swarupa are remembered even till today. In that Mohini Swarupa, Basmasura, in the Mohini Swarupa, Vishnu actually made Basmasura to keep hand on himself, due to which actually Basmasura was burnt into the ashes. Even till dated, you can see this evidence. People till very clearly articulated that in Yana cave, this is the particular middle of the cave, that this is where the Basmasura was been burnt. And there is a Udbhava Swayambhulinga there. And there is a very beautiful storyline connecting to it. Maybe few of them archaeological or from a mythological perspective, due to the Shiva as well as Mohini, Vishnu Swarupa. It is called, that is the reason this name of the cave came as Bhairaveshwara as well as a Mohini Shikara. But there is a different storyline which is connecting to this particular path, which revealed the Shiva as a Mahadeva Bhairava. After the fall of Basmasura, we can call it as the fire of annihilation did not simply vanish, because he carried, see, even the Basma carried the intense, we can call it as intense trace, okay, intense trace of the ego. It may be like the boon had ended, okay, the demon had already turned into the ashes, but the energy of the destruction remained loose, unanchored, with a wildfire without touching the boundaries. That's where the forest, still actually that forest actually carried that, what we call it as karmic footprints. The very limestone drank the memory of the burning, what happened in that particular situation. This is not the ordinary destruction, as I already told. This is an observed cosmic forces, a very raw, very volatile, capable of dissolving the world, like we can call it as in the left attain situation it was all about. After this particular episode is what is the real story which starts for the Bhairava sadhakas, or what we need to know from a Bhairava consciousness perspective. Merely after this, Bhairava or Shiva did not return to the Kailasa. He sat there. He sat there to become as a Bhairava. Shiva chose to become as a Bhairava. Shiva understood the very secret knowing only to ascetic, or like we can call it as he being a timekeeper, as a Kalatita, Kala Tattva. Destruction cannot be rejected, it must be mastered. This is what actually in this particular Swarupa he taught us. You may have got the energy, but unless with the awareness, your energies will be tested by the even by the Daiva. So he sat there at the Yana, became a Bhairava. Shiva, here in the Mahadeva Bhairava Swarupa perspective, he did the intense tapas. Here, when Shiva sat there, he did the tapas as a, like we can call it as like a, after the illusion of a safety has burnt away, this is what actually he was able to get into, like his he was able to like it's been said that actually the two hills actually was being created because of this particular storyline, but no, but here his hair unbought, like symbol of a freedom from the cosmic order. The hill actually is the vibration energy of the Bhairava. When he sat there and did his intense sadhana, his hairs actually was unbounded. That is what actually the hill frame created, the two hill frames. And this particular, even till dated, you can witness the silence a silence heavier than the sound is what actually you can witness there. It is about the awareness beyond the fear which was created in that particular space. The body unmoving, which made him to make consume the entire time, we can call it as time arrested within the consciousness, because the footprints of the adharmic was been consumed by the Bhairava. Wherever there is adharmic steps, Bhairava is going to come there. He is going to put his footprints. Here, Shiva manifested himself as Mahadeva Bhairava. When a pure, we can call it as compassion, anugraha, when it need to be balanced, a niyama is being brought up into. A niyama is like a cosmic balance need to be, discipline need to be brought into. That's where Shiva took a beautiful swarup of Mahadeva Bhairava here. See, the core reason why he took this particular swarupa, as if you recall, I told at a couple of minutes before that I don't agree with this particular topic was, see, correction of a misused grace. I see he did not ran to the Vishnu to get this support, but it was a Leela which he created. After that episode where the boon was granted without the inner maturity to create that lesson to the entire cosmos, this particular, we can call it as Leela was being created by him. Notably, Basmasura was just a narrative of this particular storyline to make everyone aware that immaturity, if it comes with a power, it is always a destruction. Even in today's world, you can see across, which is leading to the disasters in the geopolitical issues. People have a power, but the maturity, inner maturity is lacking there. Notably, that would happen. Bhairava may come into a different swarupa, as he narrated as a Basmasura as a narrative. Shiva created as a Bhairava, Mahadeva Bhairava. He may come in different swarupa and make sure that actually the current situation has been taken care. And here, Shiva revealed Bhairava as a guardian form that ensure the power is assured only with the readiness. This is what he is trying to teach us. Mahadeva Bhairava is trying to teach us this. And this is the reason I told this is just a Leela. Second, what I personally feel is, and even I was able to question with my guru and I was able to debate on this particular establishing of the Ugra Dharma. See, Bhairava, as we all know, he's an embody of the Ugra. He's a Ugra Nyaya. We can call it as Ugra Nyaya, not cruelty. Okay, but precisely, I can call it as cosmic justice. Wherever there is a cosmic justice, his presence will be there. Any kind of a destruction or a Nyaya is getting Ugra or it is getting disturbed, he will come there. He protected the Dharma by cutting the ego of Basmasura, cutting the fear of the people that Basmasura, who was being destroyed in that particular space, people had a fear that actually that space has become a void. He removed that fear. He created the adhikara. Less ambition need to be taken care in the mind. Adhikara is a first priority. One who have got the adhikara, who they will be only be capable to do a aradhana of the Bhairava. This is the reason I always tell, if you are a Bhairava sadhaka, bless me, you are gifted. You are gifted by Guru Bhairava himself. It is not so easy to do a aradhana of a person who is against the Ugra Nyaya. He is not cruel here. Again, as I told you, he is a precise, a cosmic justice. We are blessed to always do a aradhana of our Guru Bhairava. Third aspect, what I personally see is, he being a gatekeeper of a Tantra. I am using very consciously this particular word, gatekeeper of the Tantra. Reason is, this episode of Basmasura narrative, where he was granted the power without the maturity, This is the first line where he draw himself that he would become the gateway for any kind of a tantra, any dashamaha vidya. Why actually Devi is sitting at the end of the or in the middle of the corner? Why Bhairava is the initial? Because he knows what is your yogyata, adhikara, what adhikara you carry, what samskara you carry from your past, what is the sadhana you have done to reach to the ma. Here he is being identified as a gatekeeper of a tantra. Even in a kaula path, it is very beautifully been articulated. Any kind of shakti, any kind of a mantra demanding any kind of a contentment, Bhairava stands there as a Kshetrapala. Here, Shiva himself as a Mahadeva Bhairava was standing as a Kshetrapala, deciding who may enter, or who need to eliminate from this particular stage. He is a subtle domain of the power. Without his support, grace, no one can enter into the Tantra sadhana. People talk about directly the Dashamahavidya Devini, or else they will see him, Bhairava, as just as a portal to commute from one stage to other stage. I completely disagree. He is any kind of a rahasya sadhana, or any kind of, we can call it as tantrika homa, or we can call it as any kind of a mula mantra japa, or even we can call it as kriya rahasya. Basically, this is a very distant information which is very little been articulated when it comes to the daiva rahasya. This is the adhikara is given only by Bhairava. You cannot go and do, even if you go and do it, you will come back again. As I told you, many people have gone to the Devis and they have done the sadhana paddhati. Many people tell that actually I have done a sadhana of the Kalima. I only do the Bhairava only to make sure that actually he helped me to go to the Devi. He is the foundation, adhikara. He is going to test you. He is going to make sure what yogyata you carry. Unless you know him, unless you experience him, unless you make yourself getting into him, he is never going to make you go to the next stages of Tantra sadhana at all. Who may never enter the subtle domain of the power. And the power is not like, few people talk about what you call it as like siddhis nowadays. About the siddhi, we have already spoken about this in few of the videos, but let me just underline this. He is our gatekeeper for any kind of a sadhana if we want to go to the next stage. He is the adhara. He is the adhara stamba. He is a kaula stamba. He is everything. As I told you earlier, Sarvam Bhairava Swarupam. Unless this come into your DNA, he is never going to make you to reach to the next stage. This episode actually was able to teach, or a Shiva to teach, or only the Basmasura was a narrative here, story. But actual was, he is a guardian form became because he was being kept at the start of any kind of a kaula path. He is the gatekeeper of the Tantra. Here, let me just also tell to all the sadhakas, you may think that by doing any kind of a Devi Aradhana for 10 days, 21 days, 30 days, 48 days of Mandala, again, there is nothing called as a Mandala sadhana. You may be wondering why I may be talking in a different perspective today, because few times I talk about the mandala 48 days into 3 mandala, which makes the person to be eligible yogyata to do the sadhana paddhati to next stage. But here, if you stuck into something called as a mandala sadhana, still you are in a ego. Still you are thinking that I need to reach somewhere, I need to do something, I need to gain something, I need to. If Bhairava comes into your life, keep one thing in mind, which you are not, you are going to drop that. Here, Mahadeva Bhairava, he we can call it as he was able to remove the ahankara. He is going to remove the ahankara of the sadhaka. He is going to remove the ahankara of the anyone who is going to enter into the tantra sadhana paddhati or any kind of a sadhana. Here, Jiva may align with the truth. This is what actually Bhairava is teaching every one of us. In the Mahabhairava, in the Mahadeva Bhairava Swarupa, he is able to teach this. He is able to grace us. This is just a leela of a storyline. But this is a leela which he has created. The grace without the preparedness destroyed. Bhairava ensures preparedness is ready for every of the sadhakas. See, here in the storyline, when it comes to the Mahadeva Bhairava sitting there, becoming as a Kala, time himself was captured here. And he entered this particular tapas. He did an intense tapas. Shiva himself, as a Mahadeva Bhairava, did the tapas in this particular space. The raging energy of the Basmasura boon was drawn inward. That is the reason the fear whichever was being created, he was able to consume that fear himself. The destruction folded into the stillness. He was able to consume all those. Hala, what we call it as in the churning of this particular, he drank even the hala. Just think, the Karkotaka Visha, hala he was able to drink. This small episode he created, this particular Leela he was able to create, that any kind of a fear, when is created, Bhairava comes into picture. Shiva came here as a Mahadeva Bhairaswarupa. Fear collapsed. He was able to teach that awareness is the bench of everything. Awareness is a priority. Adhikara, you need to gain the adhikara. The land started responding to it because Shiva himself did an intense tapas in this particular caves. The limestone turned into black. You may have witnessed, even science doesn't have an answer today. Around the entire, what we call it as that particular Yana caves in the Western Ghats, you may find such kind of, what do you call it as, like a hills near to the Shirsi as well as near to the Gokarna, which is nearly 30 to 40 kilometers away. But it is in reddish color. Only black color, turned in black color, is somewhat like not for the curse. He observed. That is the reason Yana is the only space which has black color stones. Nowhere you will be able to find it. Science doesn't have an answer, but Shastra, or we can call it as mythology, or we can call it as Bhairava himself was able to teach. This is where his existence, his footprints is all about. What could not be destroyed, he was able to transform into the wisdom. That kshetra become the knowledge of the wisdom. That is why the stone here is dark. Not as death. People talk about in many negative terms when it comes to the Yana. No. It was initiated by Bhairava himself. So you may be wondering, like, why Bhairava, why Shiva did the tapas in this particular place. See, let me just tell you why tapas was performed here is, tapas is somewhat like Shiva when he did in a Mahadeva Bhairava Swarupa perspective. He recentered the cosmic law. The cosmic law was like Shiva, tapas is, as I told you, it is a leela for us. A cosmic destruction that even like a divine power is submitted to follow the discipline. This is a cosmic law, what we call it as a cosmic law, which everyone of need to be followed. Even Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesha had done one or the other way. We will be able to find the storylines where they did the leela of doing a tapas. And here Shiva himself was able to perform this leela. By doing this particular tapas, he sat. He was able to set out a clear law even to the devatas, asuras and humans, everyone, that discipline is what is important. Discipline is the Adhara for every cosmic law. Whether it may be God, it may be Asura, it may be human, anyone. Recentering to the cosmic law. Even he being one of the rule, or we can call it as the Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, Surupa, he was able to clearly articulate this. Second, it is about the consecration of the Bhairava Tattva into the Bhumi. In that particular Kshetra, through the what is called as in that particular tapas, Bhairava energy was anchored into that particular Kshetra. That is the reason that is called as an Bhairava Shikara. And we have Udbhava Linga there. There is a water drop which is falling on that particular Shiva Linga. Till dated science doesn't know from where exactly that waterfall is coming from. Even in summer, if you go, the water dripping on that particular linga happens. Here, he was able to clearly tell the consecration of Bhairava Tattva was being established by Shiva himself in that particular Leela which he created. He made that this particular Yana is a living field of the Ugrasthana was been balanced. Like when Basmasura was been burned, that particular karmic footprints was been destroyed. The Fersiate still was been created by Bhairava himself. I personally feel that this teaching was an example for all of us. Like having in power, anyone can have it. After misuse of a boon, Shiva will come. He is going to demonstrate his Swarupa. That's the reason I always tell, do not fall back into something called as in siddhis when it comes to the sadhana. Sadhana should be as a shwasa. You are not even aware where exactly it starts and where exactly it ends. How exactly it need to get connected to and how exactly it get merged into him. This is how actually he's trying to teach us. The tapas presides the Shakti, not the entitlement, but a purification of the stage. This is what he was able to teach us. And maybe I personally feel this. When it comes to the forest and caves, in this particular Kshetra perspective, he being a Kshetrapala, what exactly he's trying to share or disclose us as the forest withdraw from the society. It is like a nivritti. He's taking out all the conscious, placing it there and making nivritti of the icha. This is as a sadhakas we need to think about it. Whenever we do any kind of a sadhana, we need to withdraw from the society. Nivritti from our surroundings. Icha. I need this, I need that, I need all this stuff. I need something which is I am not even capable of. People think I need something extra promotion in my life. I need something more money in my life. I need actually a beautiful wife in my life. Already if he is having one more wife, he wants one more beautiful woman in his life. Withdrawing from the society. Nivritti, you need to have that particular Nivritti Shakti. Once you have it, if he thinks that you have that yogyata, he will give it, or else he will never. You need to make sure that Nivritti Bhava should be there when you do any kind of. That is the resemblance of the forest, what he was trying to teach us. And when it comes to the cave, what I say is, it is an inward distant. It is like a Antaryana. Yana is not outside, Yana is inside. Yana here becomes the outer mirror of the inner stillness what he is trying to create it here. In this particular Leela, Shiva as a Mahabhairava Swarupa is trying to tell Yana is not a space, it is Antaryana. Yana becoming the outer mirror of the inner stillness is what he is trying to teach us. Maybe when it comes to the especially the tapas, we can talk about him, about his Leela, why exactly he took this particular beautiful Swarupa to teach all of us. And let me just also tell you, in the Tantra Vijnana, or we can call it as in Tantra, there are 100, and as always told, 112 Swarupas of Bhairava. Okay, out of which 108 is what actually has been disclosed to the outer world in the Tantra Sadhana. out of which the 46th name is Mahadeva Bhairava. You may be wondering where exactly this particular name come from. This is, we can call it as in Vijnana Bhairava Tantra as well as in Brihad Bhairava Tantra. This in 108 names, this is the 46th name of Bhairava as Mahadeva Bhairava. And this entire Leela was created by Shiva himself to teach us about all this moment. See here, Bhairava, Mahadeva Bhairava was able to create a threshold of the space between the fear as well as the fearlessness. He was able to teach, he was able to cleanse all those energies. He was able to teach very clearly about what is ego and what is the mean of the surrender. He being a Devata, he surrendered. The ego of a Basmasura, how exactly it ended him. He was able to teach this. But time bound life and the timeless awareness, he was able to create this very beautifully. Timeless awareness through his particular Swarupa as a Bhairaveshwara, he was able to tell us this. This is why Shiva is worshipped not merely as a Shiva, but as a Bhairava in this particular kshetra. Because Bhairava, he is a Daiva of the time. Because he is a time, we can call it a Kneet before him or after him. He is before, after and now. He is everything. And because the land destroyed old identities, he was able to garden that particular kshetra. Protecting of the inner path is what the Mahadeva Bhairava Swarupa was able to showcase in this particular Leela. Because Bhairava walks with those who walks alone. This is the reason always when people comes to the Bhairava Anugraha Sadhana Paddhati, we never talk as you are a Shishya, I am a Guru, and I am a Guru and you are a Shishya. He is a Guru and he. For all of us, Bhairava is a Guru. If you think, again as I told you, you may come in different Swarupa to make sure that actually your ego need to be chopped off. He may come. If we start tagging ourselves as a self-proclaimed Guru and the Paddhati what we follow. Those who comes in with a pride, they will feel uneasy when they walk footprints of Bhairava. They cannot walk. Let me just tell you. You may walk in any kind of a Devi sadhana. I'm sorry to tell this, but still, this is what even my Gurudeva always recites this. It is very easy to walk into the Devi Paddhati. Because Devi is a Mahaswarupini and she always makes sure that actually his kid is excused. Irrespective of whatever the mistake you do it. But Bhairava is not going to do that. Walking on Bhairava's path is like walking on a fire. You cannot talk, speak, listen about Bhairava unless he grants you that permission, that yogyata to you. So those who comes with a pride and feel, they will always feel uneasy in this particular Paddhati. Those who comes here with a surrender will be held by him. He is going to hold them. Here he is going to make sure that he is going to walk with him. Mahadeva Bhairava has awakened a distance as a true guardian to all of us as a sadhakas. And here in this particular Leela, the tapas of Yana, it is inward journey where the power is refined when wisdom comes into. See, here we as a sadhakas need to understand one thing in this complete storyline. As I told you, many pros and cons are there. But also there is one particular story which was been disclosed by one of my friend. When he shared one of the picture of his Yana, he had one image printed on his background about the Bhairava sitting on a dog. Maybe I will post this particular image in our Telegram group. After seeing this image, I was able to ask him where exactly he was able to get this image. How exactly? He was able to tell me this is his hometown, Yana, in the Shirasi, and he had gone to Yana, and this particular image is of him. And when I was trying to ask him about more from this particular line information, photo perspective, he made me to connect to his, um, we can call it as his Kulaguru. When we were trying to talk and we were able to discuss, he was able to disclose one beautiful story connecting to this particular Mahadeva Bhairava Swarupa perspective. He was able to reveal one particular story or information which has never been articulated anywhere. He told, after the episode of the, I asked him about how exactly this particular Shikara was being named as a Bhairaveshwara. He told one beautiful storyline, like after the fifth head being chopped off, after the ego of the Brahma. I believe you already know about the same storyline which we know. When Shiva himself told the Bhairava to go for the parikramana of the Brahmahatya, when Bhairava was trying to go on all the places across the world, on all the kshetra, not only Kashikhand, all the kshetras, he came all down from north to south to this particular kshetra and did his penance at this particular place. He sat there, he did the sadhana. Kala Bhairava sat here and did the sadhana. And that is the reason here it is called as an Bhairaveshwara Shikara. And that's how actually this story was being able to connect. Here, what we as a sadhakas, let's not get connected into how exactly. Let's understand in each footprints, in wherever you go, touch, feel, know Bhairava's presence is there. But you do not know because it has been erased or it has been covered up with the ego. Self-proclaimed gurus have actually covered up with many of the things. Let me always tell you, you walk alone. When you walk alone, Bhairava is going to walk with you. Do not have anyone. See, Bhairava walks with those who walks alone. This is what even my guru taught me. Here, the message to all the sadhakas, especially the Bhairava sadhana paddhati, let me just underline this. No mantra without a maturity is going to work for any sadhana. No Shakti without the steadiness is going to help you. No grace without a proper grounding is ever going to be your foundation or the adhara or the yogyata for you to continue the Bhairava sadhana. This is what it talks about Bhairava consciousness. Unless you know him, unless you experience him, unless you completely get soaked into him, he is never been revealed. You may only think him as a bridging factor between one Tantra Loka to the other, or he is a stepping stone where I just cross him, think him as just as a Murti bowing down and going away to the next sadhana paddhati. Never. As always told, any Devi, all Dasha Mahavidyas. If you think only one particular Swarupa of the Devi is everything, then why Dasha Mahavidya came into picture? Let me also tell you one disclose, this particular. They are not what we call it as Dasha Mahavidya. There are 16 Mahavidyas. 6 are Gaupya, which has never been disclosed. And this is only revealed with the Adhikara, Anugraha of Bhairava. And if you have that Yogyata, he may disclose one or the other way. So, with that note, on this particular episode, we'll take a leave. My only request to everyone is be sincere in your sadhana. Be sincere to yourself. Be sincere to the inner Bhairava who is residing within you, who is thinking what my particular reflection is trying to do with me. Power comes with responsibility. Om Bhairavaya Namaha. Om Kalakalaya Vidmahe Kalahatitaya Dhimahi Tanno Kalabhairava Prachodayat. Om Hingule Paramahingule Amritarupini Tanushaktimana Shiva Shri Hingulaya Namaha. Om Kamakya Varade Devi Neelaparavatavasini Tvam Devi Jagatam Matram Yoni Mudre Namostute. Namaskaram.